On the next episode of the Level Par podcast, we speak with Cam Widner of Just Go For It Golf. Cam is a content creator based out of Utah. We had a great conversation about his love of working with nonprofits and how he's putting on a charity golf tournament in July. We also spoke about Level Par and how it resonated with him in a lot of different ways. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We are from two hotbeds of golf. You're in Utah and I'm in Massachusetts. I heard you played today. I'm so jealous because we have 30 inches of snow here on the ground. How'd you play and where'd you play at in Utah?
I did not play well, for sure. It is February 28th as we say this, and this I can say I live in northern Utah, and this is definitely the earliest in the year I have ever golfed at my home course. And you said you had 30 inches right now. Last week we had 24 inches of snow here as well, and it melted that fast and played today. Played like trash, but when you're golfing in February, who cares? Doesn't really matter how you play.
It doesn't matter. You take any opportunity to get out there, probably. I'd like to learn about your story on like how you got into the content creation game. I mean, you've grown quite a following. You and I got connected, I think, just because we're both kind of in this space, and I'm just getting started on it. But what made you want to kind of get into using golf as a way to be your vehicle to speak to the world?
It just kind of happened by accident, which I think it happens to a lot of us that end up in the content space. Is it just happens on accident and pretty much organically. I was a baseball player growing up as a kid, and golf I really didn't find until my early 30s, my mid 30s. And about that same time, I just fell in love with the game, and it was like, man, how can I continue to, I guess, embrace golf in every aspect of my life, right? Just like go full dad mode, full golf mode. And it was like, you know what? Why not just start posting some dorky videos on the internet? And what I found really quickly is there's just so much good that happens on social media and so much positivity that happens. We all see, and we need to see more. We need to be more aware, I should say, of all the negativity that can happen on social media. But there's so much good, and I've been really fortunate to build a strong community, some strong friendships, some strong connections. I've been on golf trips with people that I met on Instagram, which is just
great,
crazy. But it just kind of happened organically. Just me and my buddy out playing golf, and my handle on social media is Just Go For It Golf, and that kind of came up because literally it just kind of came up. As that's what I tell my buddies, like, what should I do here? Should I lay up? Should I do this? Should I do that? It's like, no, dude, just go for it. And actually, it's one of a random group that we got playing with. He's like, dude, I've never heard somebody be so positive to their playing partner and just tell them, just go for it, man. You got this. Just go for it, man. You got this. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
So you got into golf late, you said? So like,
yeah,
you probably started playing maybe 5-6 years ago at this point?
Yeah, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
in fairness, I was a pretty decent athlete growing up as a kid. And like I said, I played baseball, so there's lots of good transition that happens from from baseball to golf. But I played, maybe a once a year round, out of high school, maybe go get drunk with your buddies, go act like an idiot for a weekend scramble. Maybe once or twice a year I would golf. And then I guess it does coincide with COVID, but not for the same reasons. Like in northern Utah, we weren't shut down, anything like that. My career shifted quite a bit around that same time, and so I just had a lot more free time and a lot more white space on my calendar, and that's when I picked it up. So, yeah, probably 2021, 2022 is when I really started golfing quite a bit.
That's great. And so posting kind of happened pretty shortly after that then?
Yeah, when did I start posting? I think it was in the end of the summer of like 2023 is when I started posting. Yeah, so just over 2.5 years now.
That's cool. And the fact that you grew organically like that is really interesting. You had a great like post today, and you kind of talked about like not really caring about what the algorithm is saying and like posting more content that is kind of like just truer to you instead of like thinking about the follower so much. And did it take time to kind of get to a space where you're like, you know what, I want to continue to have this community around me, but really like this is an opportunity for me to just like express who I am as a person and do what I want.
It's tough, I think it is just tough. It's tough to come to that point, and I'm sure tomorrow I could feel a little bit differently and feel a little
Mm,
bit invalidated, and
mm,
seeking out that validation from likes and engagement and followers. And it's a roller coaster for sure. But I think the reason I like social media so much is it can help hold myself accountable. And so if I can put that type of content out that's like, hey, I do not care about this. I want to post about things that I want to post about. I want to post about my passions. It's a way for me to have kind of a public diary almost. And then I'm
mm.
forced to hold myself accountable. But it's not a short journey to get there. I don't think. I think when you start posting content, it's, man, this video, this thing only got 200 views. And it's like, well, shoot, imagine if there's 200 people sitting out front of your lawn watching your videos. That's
Yeah.
incredible. That
Right.
is
Right.
so good. But
Yeah.
we just fall into that trap of, oh, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. And it's just garbage. And that mindset, I should say, is just garbage. And so, yeah, I've been really blessed to grow a community organically and grow in the way that we have. I'm really proud of that. I don't want to lose that. But at the same point, now that I have that platform, now that I have the community that we have, let's use it for some positivity versus just likes. That's probably the main
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're kind of moving into a space where you now have this tournament kind of coming up in July. Can you talk about like what you're raising money for, and what made you want to kind of start doing this thing to kind of give back through the game of golf?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is probably the coolest thing. I mean, it just truly gave me chills. I know it's kind of dorky, but this is
Hmm.
the proudest
Oh,
thing that I've been able to do in this space. This is our third year that we've hosted a golf tournament. And what we do is we raise funds for Youth on Course, which is a nationwide organization that helps golf be accessible and affordable for kids. So golf rounds are as $5 or even free for some kids, depending on their circumstance. And so what we've done is, again, this just sounds like make believe. It sounds like made up world for me, but I now sit because of some of the visibility that I've had with social media, I now sit on the board of directors for the Utah Golf Foundation. So what the Utah Golf Foundation does is it helps disperse the funds from or for Youth on Course here in the state of Utah. So I feel really privileged now to be able to partner with the Utah Golf Foundation to keep the funds that we raise still for Youth on Course, but in our state of Utah. So the money that we raise is impacting our local communities versus, of course, there's so much good that we should raise money for the nation, of course, but it's really cool when we can raise money for our local communities, our neighbors, the kids down the street, that sort of thing. So this is our third year. I'm really, really excited for it. I joke all the time. It's like planning a wedding once a year. Planning a
it's a
golf
lot of work,
tournament
man. It
is
is a
no
ton of
joke.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people take it for granted, especially like I know I did. You just show up to scramble. It's like, oh, hey, this is
No.
great. There's people here. There's vendors
Mm.
here. It's like, but when you're the one kind of pulling the strings there, it's remarkable how much effort goes into it. But we're really proud of it for sure.
Yeah, I served on a board. As we were talking off camera, a couple of my buddies passed away in a drunk driving accident when I was 18, and I serve on the board, or did serve on the board. It just got too much of a golf tournament here in Massachusetts, and we raised money for it's a bereavement center, basically named in honor of my buddy Mike. His parents put it on together, but the amount of work that went into just getting people to the golf course to sign up, because people are signing up last minute. They're not really thinking about it. It's so I understand where you're at in this process of it, and all you have to do is keep beating the drum. And the fact that you have a platform that you do, and then you can kind of reach people, not even just in Utah, but from all over the place, is really it's a good thing to have. So I've been following along. Like if I can figure out how to get out there, I will definitely try and come play. But I'm unemployed at the moment, trying to like grow this thing right now. So like we'll see. A
We
couple
might
sponsors maybe on the podcast, and we could change that. But
we might have to. Yeah, I will say
yeah,
last year the furthest person that we had came from Tennessee. In fairness, he was
okay,
my brother, or he is my
okay,
brother, so he gets a little bit of
gotcha.
a pass. But he did
Sure,
still
sure.
fly solely for the tournament. And
Yeah.
then this year, somebody that I'm not related to is coming all the way from Philadelphia, which
Oh,
is just
fantastic.
remarkable. So
Oh, that's amazing.
again, the reach that we've been able to have, and I think if I can say it, I guess this feels kind of proud of me, but gosh darn it, it's an awesome event. We
Okay.
we do a
Yeah.
great job putting it on, and so it's hopefully as we continue, it'll become more of an attraction, and people will continue to come from far around to see it. But it's been a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. Are you a native of Utah?
I'm not actually.
Okay.
I have to. I always joke about this. I'm from California originally,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and so yeah, I was born and raised in Northern California, very far Northern California, and then my wife and I, and my 2-year-old son, my pregnant wife and my 2-year-old son at that time, moved to Utah back in 2014. So we've been here for coming up on 12 years this year.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, to not be somebody that had like their roots in a place, and now you're part of something that is actually giving back to a lot of people in the area. It probably just goes to show the community that's there, especially the golf community that's in Utah. I've actually never played out there. I see all the beautiful pictures that people are posting of all these courses. And I'm like, I have to go out there and play. I mean, it's unbelievable, the scenery that you guys have, and the elevation changes and all these different things. I've never played out west in like the Colorado, that area, but it's on my list for sure. So definitely someplace I want to go play. Have you ever been out here to Massachusetts?
I haven't, no.
Oh,
My
dude, you got to come
my
check it
brother,
out. Yeah.
same brother who lived in Tennessee, has lived in Nantucket for the last few months.
Yeah.
So right there, and so we had planned to go see him, and then he just moved up to Waterbury, I think, Connecticut.
Okay.
So up the road a little bit, but so I might be in your neck of the woods, or at least in the general Northeast here, maybe in the next few months.
Well, you know what? The beauty about this is like, if that's the case, we're getting around to golf in no matter what. We'll figure out how to play.
100%. Yeah,
And this is
definitely.
what Instagram does. Like, it just brings people together, and this community. And I've talked so much on this podcast with people about what this community like really means to folks. And I there is every sport brings together people in some kind of capacity, but there is something about golf where there is like a, because so many different people can play from all across the spectrum. It's like there's something more about this community of golf that brings people together, and like-minded folks who usually they a little bit masochistic, and they want to like challenge themselves in this game and try and get better at something. So is that the kind of like feeling that you've had as you've met people across this game and growing your platform?
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think what's so great about this game is that what's different, I should say, about this game than maybe others is a couple of things. Well, so many things, but a couple of things come to mind. One, I mean, you're forced to play with people that you don't know all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're forced to spend 4 to 5 hours, sometimes six, depending on where you're playing, with people that you don't know. And that's not common. If you go down to the YMCA and you play some pickup basketball or whatever, you're around people that you don't know, but you're probably not sitting there carrying on you know, lifelong conversations and crazy in-depth conversations. And I think that's one thing that golf is just, it forces you to be uncomfortable in so many different ways. Socially, obviously, the game is designed to make you feel uncomfortable. But I think because of that social discomfort that golf forces you in, when you're outside of the game, the cocoon of golf, and you're in the social media space, but still underneath that golf umbrella, it just kind of extends there as well, or extends here as well, I should say. And so I think because of the discomfort that golf has, it just is like, hey, you're going to be uncomfortable here. Great. Might as well go be uncomfortable and meet some awesome people. And, and, and we're all in the same boat. Like I say this often, like nobody's good at golf. Like if we were, we'd be on tour somewhere, right? So
We
like
would be doing something else. Yeah. We
yeah,
wouldn't
there's
be
levels
talking
to
about
it, but
golf or
like,
like posting about it. We'd be playing it somewhere.
yeah, but nobody's good at golf. And so I think there's just that camaraderie that exists in the game of golf that you just don't see in other sports or in other
Yeah.
aspects of life
Yeah.
oftentimes.
Yeah. I've talked about this with other people. Rory McIlroy, the number two player in the world, told the number one player in the world that he should switch putters because it would make him better. Like, what other sport is that happening in? It's just not happening.
Never.
Rory has every place in the world to tell Scotty to go putt with a freaking 9 iron, right? Like, but he's just like, no, the sportsmanship of it, and the ability to want other people to do well. But also like when you are playing, I'm not thinking about anybody else I'm just thinking about myself. And so it's a game that I want to continue to get better at. But I started playing when I was like 6 or 7.
Was that
And
right?
then I played 6 or 7, and then played junior golf, played high school golf. You got a chance to read level par. So basically, like most of the story of that character is my story outside of like like trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. Um, I went down to Florida, wanted to get into the PGM program and teach the game, but I flamed out big time with drugs and alcohol, and just never really met up to the expectations that I thought I would ever set up for myself. And there's so much of that in the game too. I think that there's also like there's a healthier aspect coming to the game as well too. People are still going on and do the party scene, but which is no shade, like that's totally fine. But there's also like I don't know, just a newer age of people who are kind of getting into this game, who are getting into it for the reasons to get better at it. And I think you're mid 30s, I'm 40. Like I can't do what I used to do, like, and expect to like wake up and play golf and be good or be a good human being. And so like change is just part of our lives. And I think I saw you post something similar, like you said something like at one point you were like a meathead, and then you kind of went to some other like directions.
Yeah.
What's been your maturation through life as you've kind of a become a father, but also like gotten to your mid 30s now.
Boy, this is gonna be a long podcast, I guess.
Yeah, no,
No,
no, we're rolling.
we're
Yeah,
we're doing it. Yeah, it's yeah, it's been a long journey, I think for sure. When I was, like I mentioned, when I was younger, I was an elite athlete. I'll be again proud to say I was an elite athlete. I went through some injuries in high school, and I always joke, it's like the standard, dad in their 30s. It's like I could have gone pro
yeah,
if I didn't get injured, right? And what's interesting is that injury isn't what prevented me from going to college and again playing baseball. That's not what prevented me. It was getting injured and then partying, right? So then that's what derails you when you don't have your your thing that you spend so much time and so much effort in. When you lose that, then you turn to something else. And when you're the jock, you're the super cool guy. It's like, well, cool. I'm going to go be the super cool guy at parties, and I'm going to go get drunk, and I'm going to go do drugs, and I'm going to do whatever I can to attract the attention that I can't get on the baseball field anymore. And so when that happened, I yeah, made bad decisions for a lot of years. And I went from being, like a 200-pound athlete to being over 300 pounds within like 2 years. And barely had a job, just really kind of skating through life. Um, yeah, just being a loser, just to be pretty direct. And I'll never forget, again, we were talking off camera. I guess it depends on how much of that stays off camera, but we were
yeah,
talking off
yeah.
camera about how I wish there's probably 5 or 6 different events in my life that I wish had set me straight and kept me straight. I think, a lot of us, we can look back and go, okay, this changed my life for 2 months, but I really wish it would have changed my life for 2 years or 20 years or 30 years. And there's a time I'll never forget. I was near blackout drunk, sitting on the curb out front of an apartment complex. And my roommate at the time, he he sits down next to me, and I'd gone through some pretty challenging stuff pretty recently to that. And he sits down next to me and he goes, "So are you going to get your life together, or are you just going to be a fucking loser for the rest of your life?"
It's a good friend.
Great friend.
That's a great friend.
A
Seriously,
great,
like that. Like, there's not enough people who actually would have the balls to say that to your face, but also mean it too, right?
yeah. And it was one of those things that I wish that's a moment that changed my life for probably a year, but I wish it would have changed my life for 10 years or for 20
Sure.
years.
Yeah.
And it did. I switched jobs. This friend of mine was kind enough to get me into a career type position at that time.
Hmm.
Um, a roundabout way met my wife through the same friend as well. Although that's a whole other story. But it's amazing that those moments in your life that change the direction, change the course of who you become. And I will say, I mean, even now, this is almost 20 years later, it's still, I can hear his voice. I
Hmm.
can feel it. And again, it's one of those things that I wish I remembered more often. You know what I mean? I wish that when times get tough, I remember those things a little bit more often. But it's been fun. It's been a
Yeah.
fun journey.
The I always try and live by like the mantra, like you are your decisions of 5 years ago, like the person you are right now. I probably butchered like what the real quote on that is, but like you you have to make the right choices in those moments and then continue to like go on this path that you think you're going to go down. And when you're in the middle of it, you don't know what's really happening, but then you kind of turn around 5 years later, you're like, oh, like for you, like you met your wife within that span, like you
Yeah.
got kids, like all these things, like who you were 5 years ago, completely different than who you are now. I mean, and I know I think I have like 5 years on you, and who I was in my mid 30s is completely different than who I am in my early 40s, um, and you don't realize it until you're actually starting to go through some of these things and some of these changes. I think for me, writing this book, and well, it's a good pivot to kind of start talking about that was it's kind of like a seminal moment for me to just put all the shit that was in my brain down on a piece of paper. And you had a chance to read the book. I kind of slid you a DM out of nowhere. I'm like, hey man, I think you might like this story. Like it'd be cool if you could kind of read it. Uh, and you were like, oh, that was good. So I'd love to get your like official review here on camera. Would be
Well, you know
awesome.
what's so funny is there's there's so many similarities, and I think I might be projecting here a little bit, but I think there's so many similarities between your story and my story personally, right? And I'm curious, maybe I'll come back to this question later, but I'm curious where maybe you were able to pick up on that. I don't know. It's because it seems like you were,
Maybe.
and I'm
Yeah.
curious about that a little bit, but
Yeah, I mean, I think I was looking at people who, I mean, obviously, your reach was like insane, and I'm like, who is this dude? Like, where is he? What's he doing? And I
sure.
kind of saw like the things that you were posting about. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I just wrote this story, and what I want to come out of this book is that people just feel something when they read it. And I think my publisher said it best. She said, when people read your book, I want them to kind of feel like it could be, they could have like cooked, they could have done anything, they could have had any kind of passion. She hopes that like when people finish reading my book, that they go back to their passion and they just pursue it. And I think that that's what I tried to get across. And I also feel like there's just not a lot of resources for men out there to like talk about being a guy and being and going through challenges. And so much of like Jake's story is a true case of like a guy who lost his way and who was ready to just throw it away. And um and I think when I was looking at for like, people to kind of get this book too, I was really looking for people who looked like they were kind of posting in that space. And you had a couple posts, and I'm like, dude, this is a guy I would like to get this book to, because I feel like A, he might like it, and then B, like, let's have a conversation about it and see like where it could potentially go from there.
Yeah. It was just interesting because as I'm reading it, it's like it just felt like a very deep personal connection. Um, to myself, which I wasn't totally expecting, to be transparent. I was expecting to have a good read. I was expecting to, um, yeah, it's about golf. Like, game on, man. This is great. But is it about golf? You know, I no, it isn't. You know what I mean? Of course it is. It's about golf, but it's more so just about overcoming those challenges that we've all faced. And again, I think that's why it hit so home for me is there's been some very deep challenges in my life that I've been able to overcome, and I have a beautiful family, and I have my passion now, and it's just it's interesting how you can have those moments come full circle in your own life and then have something that's looking at you like a mirror. In this case, it's
Hmm.
level par going,
Hmm.
this is you, buddy. You know what I mean? It's remarkable. So it's a great read, absolutely fantastic read. And I think for anybody who has been through anything and overcome anything and has lost their way and needs to get back to their North Star, this is the book, period.
Hmm. Well, I appreciate that. That's exactly what I'm going for. Like seriously, that is exactly what I want people to. One of my best friend, who I've known since I was 5, read the book and finished it last night. We had like a text conversation for like an hour, like going back, and he was just like asking me questions, but also most of it was like how he felt about himself while he was reading it. I'm like, that is exactly what an author wants when you're reading a book. Like my favorite book of all time is Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. It's I don't know if you ever read it, but it's a
I know
fantastic
it's
book.
my mom. It's one of my mom's top 5 books, so that's
Oh,
why I know it well. Yeah,
it's about basically Mitch Albom is a sports writer, but he goes back to connect with his college professor who like taught him all the ins and outs of I believe writing, but I think he might have been a philosophy teacher at one of the two. But he has ALS and he's dying of ALS, and so every Tuesday Mitch goes to Maury's house and they start talking about life, and he basically chronicles uh, what a dying man thinks about what it's like to truly live a life. And it's like one of the most beautiful books ever. And it's short, it's compact. You can read it in a day and it will stay with you for the rest of your life. And that's exactly the kind of book that I wanted to write. It was a reason why I made it so short. Like like we don't live in a world today where you can have like a book that is this big and it's War and Peace. Like no, we're in the internet world where it's like you better hit me over the head with a really good story and like let's rock and roll, and that's what I wanted to create. So it makes me feel really good that that's kind of the way that you I guess like accepted the story, because I do want you to kind of feel it more on a personal level than like, oh, there's Tom, that Tom's in the story and that's what the story of Jake Stedman is about. Tom, no, I want you to feel like you are Jake Stedman in that story.
100%. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's one of those things where some books, as you read them, I think when I say there's a place for that, there's a place to be viewing what's happening in a third person story version. And I think I've enjoyed books and I've enjoyed stories where I'm, as I'm reading it, it feels like I'm watching it happen in the third person. But a book like this, it's like, that's me. Like,
Mm.
that's what I
Yeah,
feel is I feel
yeah.
that connection. And I'm now reading the book as I'm in the first person, as I'm in the story. And
Mm.
that's just a totally different feeling. And I think that's why, one, I mean, kudos to you, but it just landed, you know what I mean? And I, again, if you don't have to go through anything major traumatic that's been
Sure.
life shifting and life altering, it can just be what's the obstacle that you've overcome. And I think you can still feel it the same way. And that's where that is the testament to you though, for sure, in the writing, because it's beautiful.
Well, thank you. It also crosses like sport too, right? It doesn't have to just be about golf. Like I'm sure that you probably had moments when you're reading that where you're like, oh, I remember there was a guy on second and third, and I'm sitting up a bat, and like there's two outs. It's seventh inning. You know, we're sitting here deep into a high school tournament or a college tournament, and it's like every thought is coming through my head, and there's a ball whizzing at me going 95 miles an hour, and I got to figure out how to hit this fucking thing
Right.
and be the hero of the day, right? And like, and you're either gonna do it or you're not, and like that's the beauty of sport. It's like you fail or you succeed, but I do feel like you learn every single time you do something.
Yeah. And I think that's that full circle moment, right? Where you now have everybody is counting on you, you're counting on you, and you've got to put up or shut up, you've got to win or you're going to fail. Like that's it. And I think that's the beauty, like you said, of sport, beauty of this book for sure, but beauty of sport in general. You can feel that pressure. And that's what makes athletes, in my opinion, just a different breed of people. That's why I think they go on to be uber successful in a lot of other things besides just sport. But everybody deals with that. I mean, moms deal with that, parents
Yeah,
deal with
yeah,
that,
yeah.
kids deal with that pressure, and everything feels like it's on them. So I do think in that regard, universal, absolutely universal.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, we've been rolling for like 35 minutes. So honestly, this has been fantastic. And like, I feel like we're going to do this again soon. And I'd like to do it in person someday. So let me look at my calendar for July and see if I can get out to Utah.
Let's
Cause
do
like,
it, man.
I think it would be amazing I love doing things in person. I think this is great that we can connect in this kind of way, but when you can kind of make a connection in person and have a conversation and create content with somebody, swing a golf club next to them and kind of see how they manage themselves on the golf course too, like there's a lot, and there was a long time in my life where I wasn't a good time on the golf course, and I got to a point in my life where like I'm here to have a good time, and like the good scores will come because I'm around good people, I'm in good places, and now this book has like unleashed me to just build this community around this thing and go from there. And I consider you a big part of that too. So thank you for reading it and then coming on the podcast. It's been a great little journey here, and I don't think it's the end of our spot here either.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you considering me and hook me up with a book. And yeah, glad to be here, man. I think, yeah, there'll be plenty more chapters in this story as we go. I think I'm looking forward to it.